Bohemian, hair and born and bred. I don't want to live nowhere else, even when I did. I's a Bohemian, and I always late. If you want me there by 9, better tell me come 8. See, I's a Bohemian, and I don't like saying nobody gonna spend my money, then I go to my grave. Yes, I's a Bohemian, don't wanna make no fuss. But if you bring out, but outside toilet, you was one of us. Like Andrew's grabbing though, don't act like you don't know, you know. Man, you know. Oh, man, you know. How Bohemian go. How they go, how they go, how they go. Oh, don't you know? Man, you know. Yes, man, you know. How Bohemian go. How they go, how they go, how they go. Let's go. So proud to be Bohemian. Yes, man, no market you ain't know. How Bohemian go now. Watch this. See, I's a Bohemian. I love to compete. But when my side lose, I say they cheat. See, I's a Bohemian. And I like the Finns. I like the Lakers too, but only when they win. I's a Bohemian. Shopping is a thing. Go Miami for 2 days, come back talking with slang. See, I's a Bohemian. I come with a price. You say you want my vote, better treat me right. Them Africa Conky Joe, oh how I love them so they know. Man, you know. Yes, man, you know. How Bohemian go. How they go, how they go, how they go. Yeah, they know. Man, you know. Man, you know. How my people go. How they go, how they go, how they go. They know. They know, cause I know that they know how my people go. Ah, yeah. Deal it. Come on. Check this. I's a Bohemian. Love to join a soup. But if you let me get first job, but I'm sorry for you. See, I's a Bohemian. I love to complain. When something ain't going right, the government I blame. Like dancing the heel and toe. Don't act like you don't know, you know. Man, you know. Man, you know. How Bohemian go. How they go, how they go, how they go. Don't act like you don't know. Man, you know. Man, you know. How our people go. How they go, how they go, shit. Let's go. All right, listen here. Sting. They know how Bohemians go. Down the road. Let's go, come on. I's a Bohemian. I ain't got too much. But when it come Christmas time, I got a rush. See, I's a Bohemian. Red or roll or Kelly. Could be black or white. Sting all up in your belly. Come on. That they got too much light. They do that night, you know. Man, you know. Yes. Man, you know. How my people go. How they go, how they go. Yeah, you know. Man, you know. You know. Man, you know. How Bohemians go. How they go, how they go. Yeah, you know. Man, you know. You know. Man, you know. How my people go. How they go, how they go, how they go. Yeah, you know. You know. Man, you know. How Bohemians go. How they go, how they go. You know. Man, you know. Yes. Man, you know. How Bohemians go. How they go, how they go, how they go. Yeah, you know. Man, you know. Man, you know. How the stingers go. How they go, how they go, how they go. Man, you know. Yes. Man, you know. How my people go. How they go, how they go, how they go. Yeah, you know. Man, you know. Deal it, man, deal it. I just love my Bohemian people. Sting all in your belly. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, you know how Bohemians go. How they go, how they go, how they go. Bohemian culture.
From South Beach to Bay Street.
I'm pleased, I really dig your company.
It's Global Radio 99.5 FM. Best mix of R&B.
Hey, 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 all right. Hey, hey, hey,
the Bahama Rock. Everybody's out there on the dock, doing what we call Bahama Rock. Hey, 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 oh yeah, Bahama Rock. Early in the morning, late at night, everybody's happy, no one can fight. Early in the morning, late at night, everybody's happy, no one can fight. Rock from sun to sun, and then we give her from her sun. Oh yeah, Bahama Rock. Oh yeah, Bahama Rock. Everybody's out there on the dock, doing what we call Bahama Rock. Yeah, oh yeah, Bahama Rock. Lots of people all around the other islands and Nassau town. They get together to do their thing. Oh man, how they dance and sing like a superstar. We're gonna give it to our man of their guitar. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Everybody's out there on the dock, doing what we call Bahama Rock. Yeah, oh yeah, Bahama Rock. Bonnie and the Ramblers, that's our name. This kind of rhythm, it's our game. We welcome you to join the fun. It doesn't matter what time you come. We want to give you a taste of what our man sounds like on bass. Oh yeah, oh yeah, everybody's out there on the dock. They're doing what we call Bahama Rock. Yeah, oh yeah, Bahama Rock. Oh yeah, Bahama Rock. Oh yeah, Bahama Rock. Everybody's out there on the dock, doing what we call Bahama Rock. Yeah, oh yeah, Bahama Rock. Oh yeah.
Is this a party or what? This the big bad, sir. Take it out. Why, yeah. Let's do it, y'all. Tonight the mood is right. Y'all them look so nice. Keep on playing the sweet darling music. Say that people can't refuse it. Outside in the open air, holding my baby oh so near, with one hand in her hair and one arm around the waist. We having a
Party in the backyard,
oh yeah,
party all night long.
we gonna
Break and scrape until the morning comes.
we gonna
Party till the break of dawn.
yes man, party party, oh yeah. This girl named Nikki says she dancing here with me. Been after her so long, gonna keep her close to me, because this dance floor is packed. People dancing back to back, dancing to this sweet and home sound. Everybody's getting down.
Party in the backyard,
Whoa,
party all night long.
whoa,
Break and scrape until the morning comes.
we're gonna
Party till the break of dawn.
jump back. Whoa, whoa. Play it again. Whoa, whoa. Look here. This woman got me hooked by the way she whine and how she look. She rubbed my neck so softly, said her body's taking over me. Ain't felt like this so long. Keep playing that sweet, sweet song. So many people out here look like we having an affair. We having a
Party in the backyard.
whoa,
Party all night long.
whoa.
Break and scrape until the morning come.
We gonna
Party till the break of dawn.
we're having a
Party in the backyard.
whoa,
Party all night long.
whoa.
Break and scrape until the morning come.
We gonna
Party till the break of dawn.
oh,
Party in the backyard.
whoa.
Party all night long.
We gonna
Break and scrape until the morning come. Party till the break of dawn.
we're having a
Party in the backyard.
whoa,
Party all night long.
whoa.
Break and scrape until the morning come.
We gonna
Ah, yeah. Oh, we can do a little sculling now. Making it straight, boys. Get on the back of the truck. Now pick it hard. Pick up the drum. Do some sculling. Break it straight. Release. Break it. Make it straight, boys. Let's go. Whoa, wake up early in the morning. We jump on the back of his truck. Me, Derry, and we go down. All of we just wake up. Let's go, Derry. Waking and scraping down the island, going from house to house. We flatten the pole, the jump on the boys. The music is out. We waking up, we straight here. Man, we waking up, we straight here. Yeah, we waking up, we straight here. Oh, we waking up, we straight here. Let's go. Oh, yeah. We playing knocking on downtown at Freeport bus stop. We also playing Nassau at Fortescue, McKinley, Double Six, Partners, Young Six Star. Not on shore. We waking straight, love one road. Down at John Bar. Hey, we waking up, we straight. Oh, we waking up, we straight. Hey, we waking up, we ready. Man, we calling and we shaking. Hey, Tuesday.
Follow us on all social media. Like us on Facebook at Global 99.5 FM.
Global 99.5 FM.
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in and making GPS a part of your afternoon routine. It's all about politics today. We're going to analyze the newest appointments in the cabinet, as announced by the Prime Minister this past Sunday. And I'm going to have two guests with me today. One of them is going to be arriving in the studio a little later. But for the first portion of the show, we're going to have C. Alan Johnson as our guest. And here's how you can become a part of the conversation. The telephone numbers to call are 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0272, 326-0272. The WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 801-0271, 801-0271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. Please like and share the show. Also streaming live to YouTube, and you can catch us on Cable Bahamas, channel 974, or you can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. Last but by no means least, a huge welcome to all of our guests who are listening by way of radio, whether you are listening from Grand Bahama, New Providence, the rest of the Family Islands, or anywhere outside the country. A huge welcome to you. C. Alan Johnson.
Yes.
What do you say?
I'm doing good. I'm always doing good. Every day above ground is a good day for me.
Huh?
Every day above ground is a good day for me.
Well, you ain't lie, eh? You see all these people dropping down around here? Anyhow, God is good. Okay, so we talking politics today. You know, I couldn't have tackled it yesterday because every Monday I do the master class on the Constitution, and I couldn't have my constitutional students wait a whole other week just to, jump back into that. So I promised them that we were going to have a discussion on politics today to talk about the Prime Minister's shuffle and what it means for the nation. And so here we are. We're going to be joined a little later on the show by one Mr. Leslie Miller, who had another engagement and said to me, Michelle, I'll be there by 2:30, 3 o'clock the latest. So we know that he will be joining us. And I wanted to have the two of you on because I figured between the two of you all, we would get some really good discourse. Because, I'm sure your views are going to be rather different from his. Approach is going to be completely different. And that obviously makes for good broadcasting. So, so I'm looking forward to what should be quite an interesting conversation. But in the meantime, before we dive in, let us play a clip. And this is a report on the Prime Minister's announcement Sunday evening past about the movements in his cabinet.
As the Minister of State in the Ministry of Legal Affairs, Jomo Campbell worked to bring important changes to the Department of Public Prosecutions and to the operations of the judiciary, with a focus on adding capacity and attacking the judicial backlog. His leadership was an important factor in improving conviction rates. He has contributed wise counsel on a range of complex legal and policy issues. He has shown he can do the hardest and most important thing in government, which is take a plan on paper and make it real. His ability to drive change will be essential in his new role as substantive Minister for Agriculture and Marine Resources.
And as for Minister Clay Sweeting, he will now be Minister of Works and keep his Family Island Affairs portfolio.
As the new Minister of Works and Family Island Affairs, Minister Sweeting will oversee the significant number of infrastructural projects and upgrades that are underway. Pulling works and family island affairs together makes sense in our government because of the scope of our ambitions for our family islands.
And former Works Minister Alfred Sears will now head over to the Ministry of Immigration. He will also take responsibility to implement reforms at the National Insurance Board, where the rate increase has been postponed to July of next year.
This will give Bahamians time to plan and give the National Insurance Board time to undergo a process of reform. Minister Sears will be overseeing those reforms to make the system simpler and easier to navigate. It's important to prevent fraudulent claims and to expedite claims for the people who deserve them. NIB should be there when Bahamians need it, so we need to strengthen the fundamentals and improve services and accountability. Minister Sears will also oversee the enforcement of our nation's immigration laws and will be responsible for implementing the reforms which emerge from the review of immigration procedures.
And the former Immigration Minister Keith Bell will now take on the Housing and Urban Renewal portfolio, taking over from former Minister JoBeth Colby Davis, who will now be Minister of Energy and Transport.
Minister Colby Davis is to serve as Minister of Energy and Transport to do the critical work of bringing together and coordinating experts and teams from throughout our government to tackle our energy transition. As many of you know, she has a background in providing legal counsel in the industry and understands how to navigate complex negotiations with energy executives and companies.
Minister Pia Glover Roll, who previously held the cabinet post for State Minister of Labor and Public Service, will now serve as the substantive minister for this portfolio. Additionally, Basil McIntosh is now the Minister of Aviation, and Zane Lightbourne, who was initially State Minister for Education, Technical and Vocational Training, will now serve as State Minister for the Environment in an effort to strengthen the ministry's work.
All right, see, Alan, so you and I have had several conversations off air about what you believe to be, but you know what? I ain't gonna put no words in your mouth. I can let you describe this yourself as you would have described it to me during our conversations, because you were clearly not impressed with the movement. Explain to my audience why not, please.
What we have now is a government on a track and on the wrong tracks. And essentially, the Prime Minister, the chairman of the board of the company, have decided to shuffle conductors. He didn't change the train tracks. He didn't change direction, anything else. We know there's no turn-offs on the train tracks. So the question is exactly what he's doing. The Prime Minister was facing a tremendous amount of pressure for bad performance and for some missteps by his ministers. And in a card game, this is called a bluff. There's no other, he's not going to get another hand. And essentially, you have a certain amount of cards that's facing up. What he do is he turns the cards down, shuffles his hand, and then act as if though he's ready to proceed. If I was sitting across the table from him, knowing this game, I would go all in on what I have against him, and then I look up to the house and say, how much more credit do I have that I can put some more chips to bet against this? Because what happens is the problem is not the ministers on its own, because essentially, and the Prime Minister explains it well, and his surrogates are running around saying exactly what the problem is. The problem is collective responsibility, collective intelligence. So wherever there's non-performance and missteps, it isn't the minister They have said to us it's the cabinet, and they've doubled down on that by virtue of simply saying the cabinet is the same and the cabinet will remain the same. The biggest problem the Progressive Liberal Party have is that there is no backbenchers to call them into order.
Well, that's because pretty much everybody in the cabinet.
No, it is everybody in the cabinet. The PLP has 32 seats. Remove the speaker, remove the deputy speaker, and remove Leslie Bryce because of a current law in the gaming law. She can't go in the cabinet.
Right.
That's 29. 27 is in cabinet. Either as ministers, ministers of state, or whatever you call them, or parliamentary secretaries. And I think the one or other two sits in some executive position that keeps them from speaking, or they have to go back to eating noodles, ramen noodles, like the rest of us. So essentially, the government now have Mr. Brave Davis has now what is called a benevolent dictatorship over the people. And so what we have is no check and balances. And as far as I'm observing, and I'm sure Mr. Jerome Fitzgerald and others who advise the Prime Minister concerning the pulse of the people in the office of the Prime Minister, that there is a disconnect, not just from the community, but from within the party itself, where PLPs are not feeling the party. And you hear this in the voice note of the chairman of the party almost on a weekly basis. The PLP promised to, within the party, is tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. That's their statement. I don't know what it means, what it's for, or anything. It's just simply tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. And so we have not had the governance that has been promised to us by the blueprint for change. And that is the template. And I challenge anyone who says, oh, well, I'm wrong. Let's read the blueprint for change and let's look at it and let's gauge them on their success, not the marketing success, the actual progress towards achieving the blueprint for which they were elected, not the conversational piece of we've done this, we've kept you busy. When you talk about the economy, the prime ministers and the others have spent the entire time looking backwards. This is why they keep hitting the wall. Can't look where you're going. And so they're looking back. The other one did this, the other one do this. And if we take time to pause, right? Let me set the context of our conversation, even when Mr. Leslie Miller comes. If you take time to pause, they become duplicitous in their arguments, right? In support of the cabinet and what's happened in the past, because this is what they say. And I heard one explicitly say this. We cannot judge Mr. Davis by his submission to the leadership of the past of the political party, going back for, I guess, his 30 years in governance, because this is the first time he actually has the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But at the same time, you go back and blame the other administrations or individuals who critique you from those other administrations. One, as a good example, is the leader of the opposition. And instead of responding to what the leader of the opposition says, which is an expectation of us that understands good governance, it is said, well, Minister did this or somebody else do this. Well, you can't have it both ways. Because if you then attach the results of the Minister administration to Mr. Pintard,
right,
you must also embrace the results of the other administration where you serve as ministers.
Right.
Also, and that's what I'm saying. And so I'm just simply saying that when we look at this, right, we have to look in the context of not how bad somebody else have done in the past, but how well you have performed based on what you are capable of performing in the present. And that's the conversation we're not having.
Okay, I want to challenge you on something. Let me just read this comment from Graham. Graham says, I beg to differ. I am thoroughly impressed at how we can swing, fool, bamboozle hundreds of thousands of people for 50 years while helping the foreigner with everything they need and not giving one hospital to the indigenous. Now, here's the thing. You say that this was nothing more than a bluff. I grew up watching my uncles and my older cousins play this game of cards called Whist. I don't know if you're familiar with the card game Whist, right? And there was a couple of strategies that they used to use in that game. And speaking of a bluff, if you know your hand weak, your opponent don't know your hand weak. So you could actually win a game with a bluff if you could put on a good, as they say, poker face, right?
Right.
So if your opponent don't know you weak, and I can get back to the whist card game in a minute. If your opponent don't know your hand weak, and you could put on a good poker face, you could still win that game. Do you think that is applicable to the situation we're in now?
No. This is in the beginning of the game where it's a new deck.
Right.
We already know the cards that's been played, and we watch and count the cards. We know the cards we have, and we can estimate with a degree of accuracy the cards you could only have.
Okay. So that brings me to the next card game, the game of whist. Now, one of the key strategies I learned from watching my uncle and my older cousin that play the game of whist. You don't never show your trump card early in the game. You hold on to that trump card as long as you could hold on to that trump card, right? And you let your opponents play all the best cards they have in that game, thinking you ain't got nothing in your hand. And then at the last possible minute, you drop that on them when they done play all their cards. And they sitting there with them out saying, well, mother said this dude was holding this card in his hand all this time.
Okay, I understand that. But here's the problem with that. When you're playing whist, you're trying to get a certain amount of books.
Right.
And your goal is to capture amount of books. So when you're behind, I don't care if you got 3 trump cards in your hand, you can't make up for the 7 you're behind. So that's the problem. He hasn't won any of the games behind, because remember, there's still only a limit of trump cards in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so when you see he already played, the ace already been played, the king already been played, the queen has been played. And so now you've captured all the others with the 10, the 9s, the jacks, and whatever else. You only know that he can only be holding the deuces.
So you're trying to say he doesn't play all his trump cards.
He doesn't play all of his trump cards. And so what he did is, remember now, he didn't shuffle the deck. He shuffled his hand. So, see, now what happens is if there were some people on the outside, remember that they said collective responsibility. So whatever intelligence went into each of those ministries must have came out of cabinet.
Right.
And those ministers are not acting alone. So there was no new, how you say, bring in the new team, or the new player, new running back, or whatever you want to call him.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody new. And so all you did was change some individuals to a new position. That means it's going to take a number of months for them to become acclimated. Because at the same time, he's claiming that they all new into their position, but at the same time, they're also claiming that they all work together as one. And so, people make the argument that he's trying to move people around for their strengths. But the problem is the policy didn't change. The play didn't change. And for those of us, just this mock realignment, who, if you watch some people who know football and know basketball, they know when people are moved in certain positions where they're not fit for. They also know when you move a player who has ambitions greater than their ability, they intend to hog the ball. So Keith Bell, he will do what he do. This is not his first run at the rodeo. What he's done in this administration, he's demonstrated in the last administration. Are we forgetting the marriage in the jail, violating the codes of principles and some other things? And so we already know how this player play. Okay? Mm-hmm. We already know now that there's some contention between Alfred Says and Mr. Brave Davis in the fight concerning the mistake made concerning the hedging that is actually almost costing the collapse of the economy. And so it is hitting poor people and the disadvantaged the hardest. And Mr. Sayers misspoke in Parliament 8 times in 11 minutes. He also said, he eventually came and said the Prime Minister was a participant in this. And then the Prime Minister said, no, I wasn't. And the Financial Secretary did it. And we know that he doesn't have the authority to do it. And even Mr. Sayers didn't, only the Minister of Finance did. So Alfred Sayers didn't throw the Prime Minister under the bus. He threw the Minister of Finance under the bus, who just happens to also be the Prime Minister. And so when you're watching the full game, and you have to ask, what is you hope to accomplish? Because there's no strength, and I challenge anyone, there's no strength in policy position to say this person over here will be better executing this policy. There's no policy for housing that Keith Bell can execute. What you have is some statements. What you have is for 2 years a government who has said rent to own coming. And even with artificial intelligence, in the environment that government operates in, the four major platforms have told me it is impossible to achieve because government cannot personally finance projects, nor can what's the finance thing, the mortgage corporation. Because I'm very familiar with the mortgage corporation, and this is why No Homes was built under the second administration of the PLP, why it was stopped in the middle of the FNM 207 to 212, and why none was built under the last administration. The resources was not there. So the policy must now move this into the private sector. The mortgage corporation new banking rules says the mortgage corporation every day must close at net zero, meaning that the mortgage corporation cannot operate in the negative. So that means if you build a house, the mortgage corporation could only issue a mortgage, not a rental agreement, because the rental agreement, the contract is what sets the balance at zero every day. The bank has to close at zero every day. So it cannot be financed in a mortgage corporation. That would mean that government would have to carry or get the builder to carry this load for the 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They say it's being rental, but the government hasn't made any reveal any policy to cause someone to want to enter that market. And the price point for which the government is seeking to build, no reasonable developer would enter that market with the 1, 2, 3, 4 houses the government built. Now here's the problem. New Providence may have the greatest demand, but the lack of availability of land in New Providence, which could be explained, go pick up the newspaper every single day. You see a major developer that we're very familiar with, Arawak Homes, on the front page looking for multifamily lots. And so the problem is then because you have to build in scale to achieve a rent to own program, to be able to carry the load of that loan before. Now, the problem is the government has a suppressed price point. And so there's a method, I won't reveal it, but there's a method for it could be achieved, but not at the price point the government is carrying it. Secondly, you don't have the individuals in the marketplace to qualify for the loans at the social housing or at the low cost housing or even the affordable housing level. The profit for that is in the there's a high amount of individuals that can reach what is called the attainable housing level, which is right above the affordable housing, and the low luxury level that cannot have their needs met. But the government focuses on the 90,000 homes that we have in deficit. We have to understand, we already starting at about 75 to 90,000 housing units. These are not homes, housing units that we are in a deficit at. And every single year, 2,500 to 3,000 is added to this. And this is something very similar to what the minister, because she's still the current Minister of Housing until it's gazetted, has said in the House of Assembly concerning the lack. Where is the 3,000 homes a year that is being, housing units, let me say homes, housing units, that's being built to be able to us to even stay at the net zero that we have. We haven't been having that. But then move to the policy of energy. Where's the policy for energy? The government just have somebody come in town and say they're going to study. What is this for us to go to? What is it for us to go to green energy? Well, it's a fantasy. It's a good distraction again, even though you may put Colby Davis there because she is a oil person, which would make sense if you want to stay where you are while giving us smoke and mirrors but going to green. Why? Because the Bahamas, forget the energy. Before we go to the energy, let's look at our economy. we are a carbon consumption-based economy. You cannot stop the taxation government gets from the carbon-based taxation without having a strategy to replace that with a new economic model. So, but I could go through each of their so-called switching of each ministries and let you know that they have no blueprint to work from. And so they're going to be working from their hips and from the hips. And so if the Minister of Energy has no policy that comes from the Minister of Finance, because it also has to work in conjunction, because we have something called fiscal policy that comes out of the government that may shape the economic model. Then we have monetary policy that has their line coming from the central bank, because there has to be a continuous flow, ebb and flow of currency in our country. Because what a lot of people don't understand, I hear people all the time saying, the Bahamian dollar can devalue. The Bahamian dollar can never devalue. It'll always be pegged 1-to-1 to the US. Your buying power could be diminished because of inflation and other factors. But let me tell you, just say why. Let me just say, before you go on, let me tell you why. You know how the Bahamian dollar can never be devalued? Because it ain't a dollar. It's an exchange note. Bring me one of these and I'll give you one of that. we have no currency.
See, Alan, we have to take a break, but I want you to consider this question as we go into this commercial break, because you said it yourself earlier in the show. They have a very shallow bench because everybody in the cabinet. So if you're saying to me that he really didn't do anything special except move around the cards already in his hand, if he don't have sufficient people in the back bench, that he could have gone to the back bench to bring up into the cabinet ranks, what he's supposed to do? How he's supposed to sit some of them down if he ain't got nobody to bring up to replace them?
I'll answer it after the break.
Yeah, we got to take this break. So let's go to the commercial break. When we come back, we will have more with C. Alan Johnson, and maybe by then, Leslie Miller would have arrived here to the studio. He did tell me he'll get here by 3:00 the latest, so hopefully he'll arrive soon. We are talking about the cabinet shuffle and the implications thereof. This is GPS. Stay with us. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, paint, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, all-terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Youngevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company. And we are talking politics today. We're breaking down and analyzing the cabinet shuffle. And my guest today is C. Alan Johnson. The telephone numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 801-0271. That's area code 242-801-0271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. Please like and share the show if you haven't already done so. Also streaming live on our YouTube channels, and you can catch us on Cable Bahamas channel 974, or you can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device. Check us out there. Huge welcome to all of you listening by way of radio, whether it be here in New Providence, Grand Bahama, the other family of islands, and of course, all of those of you who are tuned in from outside the country. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Well, good afternoon, Michelle.
Hey, Graham.
And to C. Ellen. And to the much more most honorable Leslie Miller, who's probably on his way and listening.
Mm-hmm.
Good man. Spoke the truth when he was the chairman of the power company. And power has a big play, since we're talking about cards, C. Ellen. Power has a big play in what's about to come. Announcement was made, I think they said they want to keep gas under $7. And if it hasn't been made yet, then oops, my bad. Let me retract that. It's 6:06, and do you think our electricity bill will go up? See, gasoline, Michelle, is the fuel gauge for what happens in your country. Energy costs. So I'm some kind of crazy dingbat that's been talking about energy from 1994 with Chrissy Love, and then all the way up to Y2K 99 with Mike Smith, and then beyond. I went silent for a little while because I said this don't make no sense. And then in Bodie in 2008. Now, the much more most honorable Perry Gladstone Christie has what appears to be a gang of solar in his backyard, while at the same time saying we have no natural resource. Well, only the sun has covered you more than, that other radio station. So what are we doing for energy security? And if we just put all this on the side, right, because like next Tuesday, you got a Category 3 could be just off of the Bahamas. And if the devil blows a little bit to the west, God forbid, what's the plan this year for hurricane? Because, that's a little bit bigger, clear and present danger than even the energy costs. And maybe one day we'll have that discussion on what we could do each year to prepare each island properly for when that day does happen. But back to energy. When Mr. Miller comes on, In 2014, he said in the daily newspaper, we can't afford for the elite, the rich, the businesses to go solar. Now, maybe he'll answer that. I know the answer to questions that I asked, like C. Allen, before I ask them. And let me wrap up with this. If I happen to turn crazy and rob a bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you shuffle me to a different bank, does that void the first robbery?
No.
Okay. So if I happen to do something,
hopefully you'll be better in the next robbery.
Yeah, you got it, C. Allen. You know, I like humor and cynicism and sarcasm. If you have both, you're extremely smart. It's two indicators of intelligence, by the way, but it also gets you in trouble, victimized, and thrown under the bus. So I've told a few prime ministers ago, I said, listen, bring C. Allen Johnson, me, and anyone else running our mouth with whatever idea we have into a think tank. Throw the thing on the table, whatever it is, tourism, energy security, and let us give you 10 ideas. Pick the two you think are the best, because you know you are the most intellectual once you get the blue plate, and tell us flesh it out. Haven't done it yet, because
do you know why?
The richest country, C. Allen and Michelle, the richest country in the hemisphere, that's from Alaska, North Pole, to the South Pole, Argentina, was the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Did you know that, Michelle? And that's the IDB. That's the IMF and the World Bank said that, not me. We're still the third richest country in the hemisphere, and we didn't even work for a year and a half in tourism, our number one job. Talk that, and I call their name, IMF and the World Bank. Tell them come on the station and challenge me, and I want C. Allen be in my corner, because you know what? He ain't too dumb. With the rest of them, I can leave you with this. This is you will like it. We've had artificial intelligence in our governance, C. Allen, from at least, if not before, 1973. Figure it out.
Before you go, I will ask you and C. Allen this question, because you're all talking about energy. The man said he put the lady there because she has all this background knowledge and energy.
Of course. But we didn't get the get the background description.
What does that mean?
Drill, baby,
drill. You have a lot of expertise in a certain thing, Michelle. You can show me what those expertise are. You could list them, can't you? Your resume.
Right.
Is it with renewable? Is it with carbon credits? Is it with big oil? We just need the resume. See how I alluded to it earlier, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but see
but nobody wants to come out and just start telling it like it is. But because in our country, we hedge on fuel. What do I mean by that? Do you think only PLPs are involved with fuel? Or both not. PLP and F&M? And do you think that they're friends?
Of course they are.
Well, no, then you got to worry, child. You'll never get no solar. And the man will tell you there ain't no sun or resource around here.
And then you give me the finger. Graham, let me say this, right?
Yeah.
First of all, you said a think tank. You hear a tank. This thought doesn't enter that conversation. But when you see what happens is Jobel Kobe did her master's thesis on renewable energy, I think, in the Bahamas.
Right.
Right. But that isn't a problem. Jobel Kobe, her mastery is Alpha Oil. She represented the oil company that was drilling in the Bahamas, in case lest we forget. And that company is still knocking on the door of the Prime Minister's office to push to drill. Now they're saying a concept that I proposed a while back when they were first seeking to drill, that we could not drill and use it as carbon credits. Now they say they want the right to the carbon credits. Now remember now, when I was speaking about the so-called not drilling using carbon credits, nobody in the Bahamas didn't even know what carbon credits were seemingly. They have some experts now.
Alan is correct with that one, Michelle, but I got to have full disclosure here. I am a shareholder in that oil company from 2009. Not me personally, but I had to get a foreigner to get the shares.
Well, sometimes, Graham, you win some, you lose some, because they losing everything. They're not an oil company. They're a shell company, exactly what you said. You bought a shell company to buy stock in a shell company. So, but let's go back to our economy and the oil factor. If the government wanted to leave, They can't. How do you quit your job, which is your income, without having another means of income to pay the bills? The government is carbon dependent. Everybody in the business in the Bahamas knows of this carbon dependency because it is like the model for which all of the businesses in the Bahamas is built. And they have actually integrated the carbon into their process. Atlantis doesn't pay light bills.
Well, see,
Simple
Alan.
Value doesn't pay light bills.
See, Alan.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna bow out here because I know you know what you're talking about. It's just sad they never listened to you. But I'll leave you with this, Michelle. If they wanted you to have a hospital, Linden Pinland to now would have given you a hospital. If they wanted you to have solar, you'd have had solar. If they wanted you to have streets of gold and nice no potholes, you'd have had it. So what they wanted you to have was a broke up hospital, potholes, and food that has tax on it. So you know they love you. I can see y'all later.
All right. Let me just debunk in a nice way somewhat Graham said. I want each of my children to have $10 million in the bank. I don't have it to give it to them. When the government say the reason why you have a hospital is not that they didn't want to, they couldn't. Because we have been operating on what is called a diminishing performance regime. We perform at 100%, then you perform at 90%, right? Until your income comes from that 90%, which then is probably you only get to 90% of any performance, right? Your output, your gain. So when you perform at 90%, you end up at 100%, you end up at 90%. Then when you go again to the plate, you're getting 90% of 90. And then you get 90% of that. And so what happens, you keep diminishing. Our economy has not created a means for building the Bahamas. Use an example. In 1973, during independence, the Bahamas' total economy was $600 million. You know, we talk about the GDP. We had a population of 200,000 people. They own homes, they own cars, they own businesses. They were sending kids to school and everything. Today, 50 years later, our economy is $16 billion. Listen what happens now. We went from $600 million, less than $1 billion, to $16 billion. But our population has only doubled. But we own less homes, less cars, less businesses, less of anything. Remember, we even used to own the hotels.
Okay.
We don't own those anymore.
We have a caller. We have a caller. Let's take this call before we lose him, and then stick a pin in what you're saying. I don't want to lose the caller. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Malcolm.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, C. Allen.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, and Jimmy, who just left off the phone, his name, Jimmy?
No,
he's already
Graham.
gone.
Yeah, Graham. Okay. But C. Allen, Michelle Malcolm, y'all forget to include me in that race because sarcastic and smartness with the Graham just said, that's me all over. You heard it, Ms. Malcolm, so don't shut me up right now. So now, you remember, C. Allen, when our Prime Minister and the opposition had to went to King Harry inauguration?
Yes.
Okay, and then after that, you remember when the deputy President United States, the lady, she came here, you remember that?
Yeah, Ms. Pamela Harris.
Yes. Okay. All right. So now here we go. The oligarch on this Freeport Grandmama. So what we're saying now, we fighting a losing battle because they run this country, they run the government, they run everything. So we talking, we breaking, it's all good. What we need to do, C. Allen, is everybody who have power in the Bahamas and who not following their agenda, we have to get together as one, and that's the only way we could survive a little longer. And that's what it is, C. Allen. They got robots now. This control the world, and like you say, the world is not depopulated. It's under. They just don't want us here. So we got to get to the real nitty gritty. You know what I mean? We know everything going on. We just have to get together as black people in Freeport and all over the Bahamas and try to save ourselves. Kendallana, see y'all.
All right, thank you. Thank you for calling.
Just let me just quickly address it. He has a point, right? But he has the problem that you have. It says you cannot manage what you cannot measure. And you cannot measure what you cannot comprehend or refuse to acknowledge. And that's the problem we have. the problem is not us not having the resources. And I'm going back to this question with Graham. I've talked about carbon credits for 25 years or longer in the Bahamas in my fight with Bahama Rock going back to the early 2000s and before. Because I'm destroying not just the seagrass, but the salt marshes as well as the mangroves. And I've told people over and over again, the aragonite that we are speaking about is not just aragonite, it's carbon sink. We haven't measured that yet, but just using the aragonite, just using the seagrass alone, I've told people over and over again that the seagrass and other things in Grand Bahama alone is worth $5 to $7 billion. And I've told people that Andres is up to $12 billion alone. And people said, I'm crazy. Where are you getting your figures from? Because I already know. I know Kendall Kilbrook and I met the people before they make the announcement who claimed they had a shark swim around. They gave the shark instructions and the shark swam around the whole Bahamas. And so because of the ignorance of our leadership, they bought into that as if though this guy put a camera on the shark and the shark swam around and documented the seagrass. The seagrass has already been documented. I won't say how for the time being. But on Kendall Kilbrook page, you can see those individuals before they made the announcement, talking to Kendall and even myself in the background. So that people take information because, coming from your own people is not acceptable. But all of a sudden now you have a university message that says every single year we have $88 billion worth of carbon sink that occurs in the Bahamas. That comes to about $7 million. $88 billion. That comes to about $7 billion a year. The government was talking about having some couple $100 million from this carbon credit thing. Have you heard anything again since this university came up with a study and the backup, the peer review study that is now 88 billion and not the hundreds of millions they're talking about? Because they cannot refute the truth. So every month we don't act on these carbon credits. I don't care if carbon credits is not selling at the $60 or $100 a year right now. If they're selling right now for $10, the point is, this is kind of like the days you don't go to work, you don't get paid for. You don't go and say, well, when I do go to work, I'll make up for the days I didn't work. Every time we don't exercise the monthly carbon sink we have, it's lost forever.
We have a caller. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Since we're talking about the shuffle, I like the shuffle. If we did fight those two gentlemen, you can still hear people talking about those two gentlemen. Now, I see the Prime Minister. He moved them around, and what I see that the Prime Minister is making a move now, and I believe he gets some more card to play. And I do believe that.
Where the card's coming from, caller?
Where the card is coming from?
Mm-hmm.
The card is coming from, if you see 2024, with this investigation that is going on, supposed to be going on, it's in the hand of the police now. They got to bring those in to the public that he have to now allow this to happen.
Are you talking about the FTX investigation?
In 2024, because he cannot wait. Round in 2025 is too close for the next election.
So he has a flam.
So what do you have to do now?
So what are we going to do for governance till then? What are we going to do for governance till then? What are we going to do with the light bill till then? What are we going to do with housing till then?
Let him answer, C. Allen. Go ahead, caller.
Who we have now, they should pull up their socks. They should get their act together, because now they have seen that the F&M they don't have no strategy. They don't have a leadership. They have somebody that plays as the leader, but he's not using his strategy, or he's gapping and talking here and talking there. So what is happening now? They have to get themselves together, because if they don't, then they will find themselves now just like they wouldn't be in the House of Assembly next time.
Okay, call it, don't hang up.
I see that See, the pressures on Mr. Penta to find these people that who's going to run with integrity. Remember a couple of weeks back, we was talking about integrity, people going into House of Assembly. So now, he going to have to find these people to make a bill. The PLP already know who they have now.
And we do
so
too.
They can now, in this lap, prove to the Bayman people.
So
give
caller,
us another chance.
So caller, you are saying that this last card that the prime minister has to play is the fact that the opposition ain't gonna be able to find anybody with integrity. So that card that the prime minister has to play is that they gonna win by default?
No, I said they have to look for people now.
Who does?
Because the integrity. So in
Who
other words, now
have to, I'm trying to understand what you're saying. Who have to look for people? Pintard. But so you go back to the question what I just asked you. Are you saying, because you say you believe the prime minister still have more cards to play?
Yeah.
So my question to you is this. Are you saying the more cards that he has to play are dependent on Pintard's
failure,
inability to find credible people?
He can have to, and not only that, because what can hold them up? When these investigation and things coming up, what can hold them up now? They think that hey, everything now is settled. Everything now is settled. Everything is not settled.
Caller, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
I looking for the prime minister. One more term he's going to have.
Yeah.
I'm not a prophet.
Hopefully FTX don't have that term.
I'm telling you, the day is the 5th. One more time, he is going to win. The man is so smart.
Okay, let's see. I'll
no, but caller, let me ask you a question. Let's pretend Pintard purges everybody who was around him before, and he comes with 38 new people. What is the PLP strategy now? But let me ask you a question. In the meanwhile, no, I want you to listen to the full question. So in the meanwhile, while we're waiting for Pintard to be
hold on, see, Alan, what happened? You can't hear him, caller?
I was saying I can't hear him too well, you see?
Right. I'm simply saying to you is this. Understand this. While we're waiting for Pintard not to find credible people, what is the people to do with the conditions they're in now? Inflation, job displacement, housing crisis, immigration crisis, crime crisis. So your idea is that the prime minister, in spite of all these things, will simply wait to see if Pintard causes nothing to happen within his group.
That is the reason why I said there's some elephant in the room, and these ministers who are here now, they have to gonna pull up their socks, and if they don't, the one thing I didn't touch on, Ministry of Voice. The prime minister going to have some of those directors and PS. They are freezing. They putting some of these ministers in the.
And where did you get this information from?
And because of this, the minister now.
You guys cracking me up. Let's go.
If they put the minister in the freezing hold, what happened? They are not carrying out the government ready warned. And because of this, it will make the government look bad. He has to move some of these PS and directors.
All right. Okay, go ahead now.
Michelle. See, this is a man that doesn't understand governance. You're going to move the PS to where? You can't fire them. You can only move them to another ministry. Okay? You can't move them anywhere else. So you can shuffle the PS all you want. If you claim a PS is frustrating you, so you're saying, let me move them to another ministry so they can frustrate this ministry? The problem with the public service here is that you have ministers running government when ministers' job is to bring public policy. And so the PS is to execute. There's nothing for the PSs to execute. There is no public policy that caller or anyone can release that shows the policy of the government in anything. They say things. We believe in building houses. We believe in the tooth fairy. We believe that crime is a problem of all of us. We believe. I need a government that says we know how to build houses based on our policy, process, procedures, and programs. We know how to fight crime. Not to, if you came and say you're gonna fight crime, now you said it's all of our problem. You didn't on your platform. You didn't say, and we will fight crime together. You said we. You said you will fight crime. You will do the housing. You will digitize the Bahamas. You will have this. I mean, just go read the blueprint for change. It's right there, and then simply grade them by what they performed so far, or by the policies, programs, procedures, and whatever the other one is policies, programs, procedures, and processes they're put in place for these things that they're said to happen. They have not done that. What have they done to embrace the 21st century? Nothing. And I'm saying this, I wish people don't call and tell me what they feel or what they've been told or what they just call and say what you know.
Let me ask you this, though, C. Allen. In defense of that caller, right?
Right.
We have seen for the last several elections, Bahamian people don't vote governments in, they vote governments out.
Powerful statement. Very good. Listen, pause right there. Because no one has ever given them anything to vote for. The first political party in this new dispensation that gives individuals a reason to vote for them rather than against the other person can usurp the processes that we've used in the past. This is the type of governance we need. We need people who people can vote for rather than against. This is what gives us, we go from circus to circus. Okay, so we said, boo, we boo those clowns, and we bring in another set of clowns. But we're in the same tent. You're in the circus. You get what the circus will do. We need leaders.
We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hey, Michelle, I just had to give you one more suggestion. Could you and C. Allen get the blueprint for change? Advertise the show, and both of you start with the first promise, the second, the third, the fourth, and do a post-mortem on what was said and where we are at. I think C. Allen would be very good at breaking that down.
Are you listening? Are you listening, Graham? Graham, are you listening?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. Mind if I don't get them wrong. Our 10-point plan.
I got the book right here, so don't lie to people.
Okay. Then I want you to look to, I know somewhere page 10 or something. Yeah. I don't remember. Or page 9.
Renewable?
Okay, no. The one, our 10-point plan, recover, revolutionize. Wait. Recover, rebuild, revolutionize. You got that?
You want me to read them?
No, I can read them to you.
Okay, go ahead. I can tell you if you're wrong. Go ahead.
A youth agenda, Bahamian empowerment, a healthy Bahamas, a development plan for each island, a revolution in education, reconstruction, resiliency, restore or rescue the economy, strengthen social policies through relief and national security. What's the other one? National development strategy and a sovereign wealth fund and our natural resources. How much is that?
That was the most funny, the last one, the sovereign fund. And you can weigh in on that. You are a decent, saved man, as my friend would say, and you have it correct. And can you all broke those down as to how each one was completed? Give it a grade, A to Z, please.
But Graham, anyway, thanks, Graham. See, Michelle, we got a new tourism model. We had fiscal responsibility. We had a promise of new aviation. We had the blue economy, the green economy. We was going to bring in consumer protection. We're going to reform the shipping industry. We're going to bring back the orange economy. We're going to bring back solve government arrears. We're going to reestablish the cannabis industry, spots in paradise. We're going to reform the building department. We're going to have a digital economy, a digital 700 islands, digital transformation. We can set up a technology authority. We're going to tackle crime. We can bring mortgage relief. We're going to do the cost of living. We're going to have rent relief. We're going to have reinstate the RISE program. We're going to deal with the disaster. We're going to have a second job program. I know it all. I know what my party promised. We are not delivering.
Okay, we can take a break because we way past our break time. So let's go to this commercial break. I believe I hear Leslie Miller knocking at the door. So let's take this break, Go ahead, get him. I can take the break. Let's take this break, and then when we come back, that was break number 2, right?
We do it now.
Yeah, and let's take break number 2. And then when we come back, we'll have Leslie Miller in studio with us. Stay with us. This is GPS. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here. As you can see, we've now been joined by Mr. Leslie Miller as well as C. Alan Johnson. But before we bring Mr. Miller into the conversation, I want to let you know how you can become a part of the conversation. The telephone numbers to call are 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, the WhatsApp line for messages and calls, 242-801-0271, 801-0271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm Facebook page, as well as the official Global 99.5 FM page. Also streaming live to our YouTube channels. You can check us out on Cable Bahamas, channel 974. Download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smartphone or device and check us out there. And last but not least, tune in by way of radio. Whether you're here in Grand Bahama, whether you're in Grand Bahama, here in New Providence, or the family of islands, thank you so much for tuning in, and especially thank you to all of you who are tuned in from outside the country. Mr. Miller, welcome to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Bahamas.
We have a caller that's been waiting since before the break, so let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Miss Malcolm.
Hey, Professor, what you saying?
I had to call in, because you see, I'm not going to say anything about the views expressed by people. I'm not even interested in that.
Right.
I asked one question. What major national problems has the government of the Bahamas solved on behalf of the Bahamian people? And here are the clear-cut benefits that come to the Bahamian people as a result of these major national problems having been solved. What major constituency problems have been solved by the representatives of each of those constituencies? And here are the clear-cut benefits that come to the constituents in that particular constituency, showing better results and these constituency problems having been solved. What is the purpose of a government? Do we understand? I never heard a single word about the Constitution. Do you know that our supreme law has been ignored for more than 50 years by the government of the Bahamas? Do Bahamian people understand how serious that is? When you have a government in power and you give people power and authority to violate your constitutional rights, something is seriously wrong with that. You can't get any good out of that. The country is sinking and going down, down, down.
So, Professor, you weren't impressed with the shuffle?
I'm not even interested in that. You know why I'm not interested in that?
I know why.
With personalities.
There you go.
I'm looking for results. What major national problems have been solved? What major constituency problems have been? You know, these political parties have been writing all these scraps of paper for more than half a century. That's nothing new. But I look at the Constitution. The Constitution is a supreme law. Everything ought to be analyzed in light of the Constitution. And the Constitution has been ignored by the government of the Bahamas, even though the Privy Council has made specific, clear-cut rulings, and the government goes on ahead as if it means nothing. But the evidence is right there. All you do is look at Article 6, look at the D. Rossi Ryan case, and look at the latest case with the Jane Rooney case.
Yep.
The government of the Bahamas,
The Listening Devices Act,
violated the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas for more than half a century.
All right. I want to say thank you because I want to get Leslie Miller in here.
Oh, that's fine. I can understand that. But I'll just shut off right here. Thank you very much.
Michelle, right? Just let me say these five things. He forgot like things like the Listening Devices Act that was struck down going all the way back to pre-Constitution. But essentially, he's asking for the same thing. Where are the government policies that we can see and touch and read? Where's the processes? Where's the procedures? And where's the programs? That's what he's looking for. That's what good governance is. Not what the minister says. It's what the people can touch, smell, hear, read, and tangible. And that is what we've not had for 50 years.
All right. So we're blessed today to have somebody who has sat around that cabinet table in past administrations to join us on the show, Mr. Leslie Miller. Mr. Miller, you call yourself the pot cake. Ain't nobody calling you that. You call yourself the pot cake.
Happy to be one. I'm McCullough Corner.
And one thing with Mr. Miller, he call a spade a spade. He ain't beating around the bush. So you heard what the caller just said. You heard C. Allen's rebuttal to the caller, or C. Allen's endorsement of what the caller had to say. What are your thoughts as it relates to that? And are you impressed at all by the shuffle that we heard announced this past Sunday?
Listen, first and foremost, governments are elected by the people of the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
The government set its policies. They prioritize what they wish to have accomplished in that 4 to 5 year period. I don't know about the Constitution. Some people just, spend their whole lives talking about the Constitution on how valuable it is, and which it is. But it's the performance that counts, eh? What have you done on behalf of the Bahamian people, those who sent you to Parliament, who gave you an opportunity to govern the affairs of a country?
Right.
The shuffle that was done on Sunday, I think, is commendable. I think the Prime Minister made some right calls in putting people in the right places to enable them to be more productive, to enable them to execute the priority that his government would be setting out in the speech from Parliament. And it reopens. And I think he has a good cadre of men and women in positions that you would see the difference over the next 2 years. If not, what will be. I think the greatest problem the government faces really is the high cost of electricity with BEC. The poverty level in our over the hills areas has become, to me, blighted and almost sinful for the cost of living in our country, especially going to the food store with those women who are there taking care of 2 to 3 children by themselves. The neglect of the Bahamian men to stand to the plate and take care of their responsibility, and having children that they do nothing for most of their lives. That has overwhelmed the average Bahamian woman that's out there struggling to try to feed her children.
So,
Michelle, hold on. Let me respond to that one last statement. When I came home a little over 20 years ago, a little over 50%, this is statistics, of households was headed by Bahamian women.
It's more than that now.
No, today it's 78% in 20 years. If we're talking about the productive age of young men under the age of 40,
yes,
we then must ask ourselves, who raised these men?
They're regular Bahamian fellas. That's who they are.
No. We're talking about the structure. Something is wrong when we say something our men are not performing. They don't know their role. They don't know anything. So
they're not living up to being men.
No, they are living up because children. Okay. Xavier Francis said, "Give me a child for the first 6 years of his life, and he'll be everything he's supposed to be." Yeah, well, the problem then is that
he's not a Bahamian.
Huh?
I say he's not a Bahamian, whoever he is.
Well, I'm sure you believe in gravity, but the other guy's not Bahamian, and you believe in the power of flight. There's a whole lot of things we believe in that Bahamians did not have anything to do with. I'm simply saying it's a principle. What we have to look at is the fact that we're passing the blame game again. We're not looking, we're talking about the symptoms, and we have never addressed the root of the problem. And so when you look at our young men in jail, if you say they're all under 25 and 30, then the question is, who raised them? What was missing from them? You're blaming the fathers. Well, they're not
blaming the fathers.
See, a woman can't teach a man to be a man,
I didn't say she can. I said that they are irresponsible in not taking care of children.
They have not been taught.
Totally irresponsible.
See,
and disgraceful.
What one generation permits become culture in the next. That's another fact. What you're seeing is a culture of neglect of the previous generation in practice and reality. That is sociology. Okay? So again, I say you cannot manage what you cannot measure, and you cannot measure what you refuse to acknowledge or incapable of acknowledging.
I deal with real life, man. I don't deal with hypotheses and all that.
No, well, then
I deal with real life.
Then let's get rid of the psychologist who's telling us how to deal with crime. Let's see. You can't have this thing is I can have my reality, but I can redefine the world. It doesn't work like that because these are the things that the government is quoting today. Mr. Wayne Monroe is very good at quoting the socio-physical aspect of our problems. Then you're saying that what he's proposing is all wrong, and he should be moved as minister.
You never heard Leslie Miller. I said that the men must step to the plate and do their jobs as fathers.
We must train
and take care of their children that belongs to them.
You know why? Because you know what he said? Law shapes culture. Let's pass laws that assign responsibility at birth, something that Cleaver Duncan and I have been arguing for 25 years. So you don't have a forced separation of men from their children, but on the day of birth, they are both assigned joint custody, where one person becomes the custodial parents, and let's put in proper support systems. This is called social safety.
Okay,
net.
gentlemen, we're heading down a road that has that's not a problem.
This is
hold on. We have a caller on the line. We have a caller. We have a caller on the line, but I don't want us to take this show in a direction that should be the topic of another show. But let's go to the caller. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon, and thank you for taking my call.
Good afternoon.
I would like to ask Mr. Miller if he remembers the Bahamas he grew up in. Because in the Bahamas I grew up in, my mother was a single mother with 5 kids.
Yes.
We came out of slavery, so the family structure was destroyed. That is history. I'm not even making small talk. That is historically so. And the wise people that came out of slavery, they built communities. If you read the thesis that was done on the Bahamas, it says that the African communities, that's where they practiced the maypole, that's where they had asu draws, and everybody that I'd write down my street, they were either plumbers or electricians or boat builders, and no matter where we went, we were protected. We were allowed to play.
Fair enough.
Mr. Miller, it is your generation that broke this tradition and that has put this country where it is, because
I don't buy that at all.
They worked themselves to death to send their children off to school. They didn't come back and come into the communities.
Please.
They ran off and they left the community open to war.
Who ran off?
And today our children are dying because our communities, Mr. Miller, have been shot. It was never the case where parents were raising children, not in this country.
So who was raising children?
It was the community. My neighbor looked out for me.
Yes.
Everywhere I went, they had an eye on me. My mother could go to work and know that I was okay.
What caused that to stop?
You stopped it.
Because
the last generation of leaders. Your generation, Mr. Miller, needs to look at what you have done and begin by asking God to help you.
Please,
because
my generation is no different from your generation.
That made this country amazing.
Y'all got to stop making excuses,
the community,
man.
Mr. Miller.
Stop making excuses.
The community, not hustlers on Bay Street.
Then let us build
house
communities.
Builders and whatever. The salt of the earth. Bainstown was a vibrant community.
Yes.
Why is it that if Nassau get electricity, why didn't Andros and Exuma and Iluta and every single country move at the same time?
They couldn't move at the same time because the structure of the economies were different.
Mr. Miller,
they failed to build the economy. He's probably right.
Invest in the family islands where the family and the communities are.
That's what every government has been doing.
In contact, that's where we need to pour the money. Okay, because you are never going to get children that were born with no structure and no community to be what you want them to be. If you take a branch of a tree, you are never going to get it back on the tree, Mr. Miller. And I'm done.
All right.
All right, that was a mouthful. Okay.
I just think
she has a point,
yourself and see what contribution you are making.
Michelle,
your community.
She's proving my point. The very sociology that we like to reference is exactly what she said. Remember I said, what is tolerated by one generation become the culture in the next? And so essentially, we had leadership that gave our children nothing to come back to.
That's not true.
Let me say this.
That is not true.
No, let me give you statistics.
Not true.
Call the United States Embassy and ask them how many people they give visa to, they convert to citizenship. Call the UK Embassy. Call the Canadian Embassy. Now, I don't believe they've left. Let me tell you what I believe. Those 70% of individuals that don't come back or more, they're parked offshore waiting for leadership to create the environment for them to return. It has not been done for the last 3 decades.
But you were here. Why did you
wait? Mr. Miller, I'm of that generation, the boomers too, that you all stifle. Okay?
No, I didn't stifle you. How old are you?
I'm 60. I'm 60.
You're 60. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you 60, and I'm a couple of years older than you.
No,
we're the same generation.
No.
Same generation.
You are
the other one complain.
Mr. Miller,
one big hand, the other one complain.
Mr. Miller, you're the boomers too. I'm speaking when I said our generation.
I said one big hand and the other one complain.
I'm not talking about you personally.
I was born through McCullough Corner.
So, Mr. Miller,
And
you know,
grew up in there.
you know something? People has killed me with, I was born barefoot and poor. The whole Bahamas was barefoot and poor.
I didn't say I was born barefoot and poor. I say I was born through Corner.
No, that's what
I
I'm
never
saying.
told you I
What's
was
the
born
relevance?
barefoot and poor.
I'm saying, what's the relevance?
I was never poor.
Okay.
Poor is a state of mind.
Gentlemen,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Born in poverty.
You need to get somebody from.
Take a breath. Take a breath. Take a breath. Breathe in. Breathe in. Breathe in.
Let's go back, right?
Woosah. Breathe in.
Michelle, let's go back to governance. When you talk about the
Breathe
cabinet
in.
shuffle.
Breathe out, because that's what we're supposed to be talking about today.
Right. No, but this deals with the cabinet shuffle.
Now, I give all your long rope.
No, Michelle, the question you have to ask, how do you see this cabinet shuffle solving these issues that we just debated?
Well,
how do you see the cabinet shuffle solving the crime?
So Mr. Miller says that he thinks that the Prime Minister did a fantastic job with the shuffle, that he did a good job with the shuffle, that he's put some people in place who are going to be able to make a difference. Now, before he came onto the show, your argument, C. Allen, was that he playing the same hand, he bluffing because he got the same cards that was in his hand before. And just because you reposition them in your hand, don't mean it can make no difference in terms of the quality of the game or his ability to win the game. Because if you had a weak hand to begin with, and all you do is move cards around, you still got a weak hand.
Absolutely. But Michelle, let's go with the Prime Minister.
Okay, hold on. Leslie said it doesn't work that way. Let me let him respond.
After 2 years, you would have assessed your cabinet. You would have assessed who has done well in the capacity that you put them. You now want to realign and reassign persons who you believe can now execute the new policies that you're about to implement on behalf of the Bahamian people. So you make adjustments where it's necessary. That's all you're doing, and hope for the best. But remember, the government only has a 2-year window that they're dealing with. Governments last 4 years in this country. The 5th year, everybody hustling to get reelected. There is no tentative government in place in the 5th year. You got a 4-year run, and that's it. 48 months. You either do the right thing on behalf of the people, or when those polls close at 6 o'clock, you will be gone.
Michelle, can I say something now?
Go ahead.
If you are governing and you govern for the full 5 years rather than campaigning, your governance is your campaign.
It is.
Okay, then you don't have to stop the campaign. Your record of performance for the full 5 years is the platform you run on rather than the remarketing of what you may have done. But let's go to what the Prime Minister said. He says, I've appointed my cabinet, this reshuffling, okay? But he said, the duties and responsibilities, as almost like I'm paraphrasing, as I quote, will be changing when I gazette it. Then secondary, we don't know of any policies for the last 2 years, and I challenge Mr. Miller to point me to one policy, one program, one process, or one set of procedures that the government has published or said to us, the Bahamian people. But now we must wait for another speech from the throne, and I assuming, unless they bring in a new blueprint for change, the speech from the throne will reference the same document that they failed to implement for the last 2 years.
You see, you guys sit there like armchair quarterbacks and believing that you have all the answers. Then I recommend that you all go put yourself up as candidates and see what happens when you run the country. There are so many different elements that makes up a government. There are so many different elements that make up a ministry. The best you can do is, first of all, we just came out of COVID, eh? When Mr. Davis' government took over, COVID was just at the ending cycle. The first thing you had to do was get the economy back on a good footing.
It did nothing for the economy. The economy rebooted itself.
I say you had to get the country back to work. Okay,
get
the finances on a better footing than when they met it. Put people in place that you thought could get the job done on behalf of the Bahamian people. That's what governments do. They do the best that they can. Some members of parliament are good members. Some are not as good as others. Some has a total commitment to the Bahamian people. Some has other commitments.
So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Based on what you just said, some ministers are better than others. Some do a good job. Others do not. And this is a hypothetical question. This is not pointing fingers at any specific minister. if I'm sitting as the prime minister and I see where I have a particular minister who is causing more problems than being effective in a particular ministry, why move that person to another ministry? Why not relegate them to the back bench and say, thank you for your service? And if necessary, bring somebody else up or split up what they were doing among the better ones that you have now. Why?
Because their ability to get things done, and I know you're talking about, you look at the acumen that this person have, how they defend the government in the halls of parliament.
It was a general question.
How they execute the plans of the government. And that particular person, I believe, is going to do a wonderful job in a new position that they have under their portfolio.
It was a general question.
Do so.
It was a general question. I wasn't.
Michelle, but let me see.
It was a general question.
Michelle, let me tell you the way governance is supposed to run. I don't care how they did it. The government responsibility, and this is what Sidney Walter MacArthur alluded to. This is parliamentary democracy. There's no minister should be running no department, no ministry. The government's responsibility is policy, process, procedures, and programs. The minister is to oversee the policy within that particular ministry that is being followed.
Quite right.
Not do anything. Okay.
No, he has to do something.
No, do what?
Which he's responsible for.
No,
that's his responsibility.
He
is the one who wants to.
What's the PS for? What's the PS and the what? Let me ask you, what are we spending $70 million a month for?
What is that?
Let me ask you a question. When we get rid of a government, right?
Yes.
Isn't there like an infrastructure we depend on? I didn't know when ministers became responsible for paving roads, when the minister became responsible for installing water pipes and things. I don't even know when MPs
that
became
comes under the
responsible
purview
for
of the
parks and
ministry
stuff.
of works. It is the minister's job to see that the work is getting done. So make whatever changes are necessary to serve the people to the best of your ability. That's what it's all about.
No, but I'm saying you're talking about how we do things. I'm saying there's a proper procedures that has been demonstrated for hundreds of years called a parliamentary democracy or a Westminster system.
And most of the time, those procedures are not adhered to based on the type of personnel that you have working in the different departments that makes up those ministries. So your
Are they
job
the
is
same personnel that's been there for 30 years?
What is that?
Are they the same people that's been there P&P that you can't remove for 30 years? That
Many of them,
you
yes.
refuse to change
Many
general
of them,
orders?
yes. Many of them.
Let me ask you, who can change? Let me ask you, who can change general orders?
Who could change?
General orders.
The government could change general orders.
So you don't see. Let me give you a story, Michelle. 30 seconds. My dad just say he used to pass this house. His dog was sitting on the nail, and the dog just screaming. He asked the old man, "Excuse me, sir, why is the dog screaming?" He said, "He's sitting on the nail." He said to the old man, "He said, why he don't get up off the nail? I mean, why don't you take him off the nail?" The old man said, "No. When he get tired of the pain, he'll get up off the nail. When government get tired of general orders, it'll fix it." So what government is saying, you have ineffective governance. I'm unable to govern. I'm unable to do something because of this thing that I'm capable of changing, and it has not. So the problem we had is exactly what the lady caller said. We have had inept, incompetent, and incapable leadership and that happens from not understanding their role.
You all need to step to the plate. Stop complaining and go and get it done yourselves.
See,
go and run as candidates.
No, see.
Go and run as a candidate.
No, see, Leslie Miller, this is why.
As a candidate, I did it 6
times.
times.
No, candidacy.
Make a difference.
See,
go and run.
The people choose. See,
I dare you, go and run.
I am speaking. You don't have to run. I'm speaking to those who are going to be making the decision. I want them to see, and I want them to understand. And this is what you say. Sidney Walter MacArthur Thompson teaches the Constitution because government has failed to. You know why? Because you want dumb people to vote. You want poor people to vote. You don't want empowered people. You don't want smart people. Because you know why? They will choose their kind.
Nothing could be further from the truth. I will tell you, the average Bahamian, in my experience, over 40 years and 30 years being in and out of parliament, the average Bahamian has much greater intelligence than the so-called educated ones. And the advice they give you is superior to what you get from those who have a vested interest.
And then you all should listen to them.
From my own experience.
Then you should listen to them because apparently
I listen to
for 30 years of governance, listen to me. I don't have to argue, you know. We could look at the Bahamian economy. We could look at the Bahamian economy, right?
Yeah.
And so all we have to say is this. We were performing at 100%. then 97%, then 94%, then 91%, then 88%, then 85%, then 82%.
What are you talking about?
That's like a 3% diminishing every single year. So we have to wait.
He's talking about the economy.
So I'm saying to you, I could go for 30 years. The economy has grown not because of actions of us, because Mr. Miller, when individuals like you and others came into the economy, we had $600 million GDP and a population of 200,000. We now got 400,000 people, but our GDP is $16 billion, and we got poverty on the uprise, homelessness on the uprise. We have an education system that's collapsed. We have an energy grid that is antiquated at best. Okay. We have an infrastructure for education that needs to be torn down and rebuilt.
You appreciate the fact that COVID played a vital role.
No.
That.
Well, we have to take a break. We have to take a break. But with all due respect to Mr. Miller,
yes, ma'am.
We cannot blame
the tools of the incompetent.
Stop it, C. Allen. We cannot blame, and nobody's discounting COVID. Nobody's discounting that Dorian happened. But we cannot put the blame of all of this inefficiency we see in our country that has been going for decades.
This is why I said
at the feet of only COVID.
No, I did not say that. I am saying that COVID played an instructive role in the plight of our education system, especially for those Bahamians that don't have a computer, couldn't go on Zoom.
So based on your analysis, Mr. Miller, then we didn't have a problem before COVID.
No, listen, we always was a D+ or what have you.
Okay.
I say that COVID made it worse.
Okay.
Michelle,
that's what I'm saying. COVID made it worse.
COVID exposed the weaknesses that were already there. COVID lifted the carpet up, and we saw all the dirt and all the other stuff. That's what COVID did.
I
COVID
say
the best thing that ever happened to the Bahamas.
Run as a candidate and change
you know, it's just a shame that Mr. Miller couldn't be with us for the full 2 hours because it's already 13 minutes to 4, and I got to take a break. And you notice I said much. They making my job dead easy today. All I got to do is be the referee today.
I don't even the pun this too good no more. I got patient.
Michelle, Pundwits, go read my webpage. Go read my webpage, my social media page. You know why I know the blueprint for change?
I don't
read it on my webpage. Go read my social media page. Everything in the blueprint is on my page.
Gentlemen.
I say go and run.
We have to take a break. Ain't nobody going right now except me. I run into a commercial break. Take a breath, gentlemen. Take a breath.
Become a candidate. I may vote for you.
One candidate don't change.
We will be back after these words from our sponsors.
One person can change something in government, you would have done it.
If you got all the
At Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
One of the things I love about the mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy with Mailboat's U.S. addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the Mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and on-board lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the Mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
All right. Welcome. Welcome back to GPS.
Michelle,
Well, let's see, Alan Bond. Let me at least
positive. Okay,
introduce
go ahead.
the show. Wow, good God.
Go get your show.
Welcome back to
You
GPS.
even warn me with a show.
Welcome back to GPS. All right, now, gentlemen, we only got 8 minutes left. Let me just say this.
I want to tell one positive I see.
Michael, we can get to that right now. Michael Pentala has gone on record saying pretty much he ain't impressed, right? That's in a nutshell what he said. But even his chairman of the Free National Movement had to point out to at least 2 ministers in his cabinet who he said, okay, they doing a good job. He specifically pointed out Chester Cooper and Pia Glover-Roll, who has been elevated to the position of substantive minister of the portfolio for which she was the state minister. So even the opposition has to acknowledge that there are at least 2 bright spots. But the argument is, gentlemen, that 2 bright spots among how many in the cabinet ain't enough to lift this whole thing. Huh?
27.
It depends on who's making the judgment call.
Okay.
Was fired.
Let's
Let me have the one. Can I have my one?
Go ahead.
You're going again?
Jumo Campbell.
Okay. So you say it's 3. So you say it's 3 bright spots.
No, I would lean towards not Wayne Monroe. I lean towards the state minister for public service. I understand that she's operating within the confines of government, that the fact that we don't have an economy to support the changes that may be necessary. But at least I see some steps towards digitization and a structure. Though we are operating a government with almost 40,000 employees, when you compare them all, we only need 7,500. So when you start reducing, I'll be truly, truly impressed, because in the age of technology, we only need 7,500 people. This isn't me, Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, this is Dell, Microsoft, and the billion and trillion dollar companies that has already created and proven this. Now, let me go back to Mr. Jomo Campbell.
Make it quick because we have a call on the line.
I'm hoping that if there's an onslaught of the next Progressive Liberal Party, that he survives. I see him as potential, not just because we are both from Cat Island. I've never met the man personally, but I'm saying
Jomo Campbell.
The good guy. He has, from a legislative performance, or what you call policy performance or whatever else, I've seen him done some work and structure, and even the Prime Minister has acknowledged what he has done in that. Why?
Okay. Alan, I have a caller waiting, Alan. I have a caller waiting. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon, Ms. Malcolm.
Hi.
And good afternoon, Mr. Miller and Mr. C. Allen.
Good afternoon.
I think Mr. C. Allen and Graham need to go try run for Prime Minister.
Yeah, seriously.
Because they got too much going on in there.
We don't run for Prime Ministers in the Bahamas.
Hold on.
Y'all are loaded. Y'all need to go and run, man.
But you know, maybe they have been offering at least their knowledge, but maybe their offerings weren't accepted.
Michelle, if one person could have changed Parliament, Miller would have done it. Ask him what he did. Did he change
what I did? I'll tell you what I did. I represented my people to the best of my ability, and you could speak to any one of them, and they'll tell you what I did on their behalf. Anyone. Talk to them.
What you do for the country?
Go in the telephone directory, man. I tried to give you all LNG. People like you rejected it.
No. Mr. Miller, tell us about LNG. We were not getting no discount on LNG. We were getting delayed billing. You were sitting LNG on the backs of future generations.
That was born under on my watch.
Mr. Miller, you do not want the truth on that LNG to be told.
Gentlemen, listen.
We
Tell
brought down
me.
the cost of electricity to BC by 40% in the 4 years I was there the last time. 40%.
Subsidy.
The electricity bill went down 40%.
It's amazing.
Ask Rupert Roberts. Call Rupert Roberts.
Listen to me. Mr. Brett Davis did the same thing by taking money from the Treasury and subsidizing BEC. You want BEC on BPL to run? Transfer it to a sovereign trust fund where politicians have nothing to say about it. Now, let me ask you a question, Mr. Miller. If BPL is paying $10 million a month on legacy debt, that can only mean there must be at least $2 billion worth of legacy debt they're paying.
There's about almost 950 million.
And then what about infrastructure?
That's a five. That's a five.
$10 million a month is not $900 million.
You stop talking, go do something.
Listen, I can cut all two of you all, Mike.
Not me.
I got the data.
The two of you all, Mike.
I see.
We have 3 minutes left in this show. And as much as I like boxing and well, you know, I think wrestling a little fake. But as much as I like to watch boxing, this ain't no boxing match today. I can be a good listen. Let's get it together now. Order, like one former House Speaker used to say, order. We only got a couple minutes left.
Parliament, man, you can make a difference.
All right. Listen, I can give you all 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Your 30 seconds is supposed to address the shuffle. Nothing else. All right? Mr. Miller, give us your 30 seconds closing on your impression of the shuffle, please.
Listen, we can only hope as Bahamians that the Prime Minister made the right decision in the realignment of his cabinet, that those men and women who have been assigned these new responsibilities would step to the plate and work tirelessly on behalf of the Bahamian people. If not, when the bell is rung and the polls close 6 o'clock, you'll have a new government in place. He has placed an enormous amount of burden on the backs of those who are there. I believe this government is up to the task, and I think the gentleman that everybody is criticizing is going to show you all what he's made of, his mantle. I trust that with God's speed, they will do the best that they can on behalf of the people.
30 minutes, 30 seconds up. See, Alan, now I know you don't know time.
No, listen to me carefully. If you want to see the PLP blueprint for change, read my posting for the last 15 years. I have it in my head. I don't have to read it. That's why I can repeat it. Okay, because I know what they say.
We live in a real world, not fiction.
But now, here's what I'm saying to you. The Prime Minister needs to, if the Prime Minister wants to be effective, the Prime Minister needs to come back and govern, not run government, govern us. Okay? And that means bring me your policies, bring me your procedures, bring me your programs, and bring me your processes. And then on the speech from the throne, tell us those things. And then publish them so we can write them, engage them, and then govern for the next 3 years. Don't do like Mr. Miller said, you're going to govern for 2 and campaign for 1, because we will send you home.
All right, gentlemen, time is gone. 4 o'clock. Praise Jesus, from whom all blessings flow. We got to get off the air. Next time, I can put on the referee shirt. You know that black and white shirt with the referees wear?
Make a difference.
I can wear my black and white shirt next time I have these two.
Tell Leslie Miller the next time he come, let's debate ideas.
Jason, shut the microphone, please. Shut the microphone. Shut the microphone.
Bring some ideas.
I'm gone.
Don't come to a gun fight with a knife.
And see, I'm still talking. I want to say thank you to both gentlemen for being here today. My God, my God. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here today. Thank you to everybody who tuned in today. I don't know if we got anything out of this apart from a shouting match, but it is what it is. There are some people who will never agree with each other, but it is what it is. The shuffle has been made, and only time will tell whether or not it was effective. The proof is in the pudding. In the meantime, I want to say congratulations to my girl, my good friend, from way back when I know her from. She's a teenager. Pia Global Role. She went in there and she's showing them what it is to be an effective member of parliament and an effective cabinet minister. Pia girl, I'm so proud of you. Continue to stand up for us patching curves. Let them see what time it is. We gotta go. It's 4:01. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Have a good afternoon.